Like I said, he's the oldest living African American CPA in the United States. He's the first black CPA in California who's still with us. And the first African American CPA in Los Angeles. He's 92 and he retired in December. And if you want to find him, call his office, because even though he says he retired, I can never call him at home. I always have to call his office if I want to find him. So he retired, but I don't really believe him. In any case, I'm going to...
Well, Teresa, I didn't know that you're going to tell the people my age. Because everyone I talk to tell me, you don't look like you are 92. I say, well, I am. And I thank the good Lord for it. Well, mine is a long story. Naturally, I was born in the South, in Louisiana, and finished high school. And the only thing my parents had to give me to go to college was a permission to go. So what I did, I worked in a nightclub for a year. And this gentleman was from Syria. And I didn't let him know my plans until I got ready to either retire from his job or do whatever, because he was going to fire me anyway, I thought. So when I went to him and I said, look, I've decided I want to go to college, and I had saved up the money that I worked for a year in order to go to college. So he said, that is the most wonderful thing I could hear you say, and to hear you say. And he said, but I tell you this, you go, and whenever you come back for the summer, you got a job. And this gentleman did make a job for me, and this way I was able to go to Tuskegee University in Alabama. And each summer I would come back to him and he would give me a job. So after I graduated from Tuskegee University, I had to go to the Army, of course. And the Army was something that I didn't want to do because I wanted to go. I wanted to finish college and then go on to another degree, a master's. So when I finished, my family had moved from Louisiana to California. I was the last person in my family to come to California. So I applied to the LAUSD, Los Angeles Unified School District, for a job as a teacher. And well, what they told me is that you're ready to go to the Army, and if we spend any more money trying to get you ready to teach, it would be a waste of time. Well, that was true, because I was drafted into the service in 1943, and I graduated from Tuskegee in 1943. So after that, I spent 3.5 years in the service. And when I got out of the service, I had, naturally had a GI Bill. And I went back to the school board, tried to get a job. They tell me, well, what you should do is go to graduate school and get a master's in education or whatever. And I didn't get hired. So finally I ended up going to the post office. And I worked there about 7 or 8 years. And so it so happens that one of the professors at the school, I had a GI Bill to go to college. And one of the professors called 3 of us aside in that class, because there was nothing, it was nothing but a mill to get the GI money during the service. It wasn't accredited at all. So a white professor called me, three of us aside, said, look, you guys got too much on the ball to be here because you can't get credit for what you're doing. And two of us really took him up on that, and I did. So I went to USC on a GI Bill, and at that time, the GI Bill was much less. I mean, USC was, the tuition was much less then than it is now, but I didn't give them one nickel because the GI Bill paid for all of it. So I went to USC and got another degree in accounting. And so when I got the degree in accounting, I was looking for a job to do my internship for 2 years. And that's when I ran into a brick wall, see. So then they said, after I applied for this job, it was the Big 8 firm then. Now, I don't know, I think it's now about 3 or 4. but the GI Bill was just a blessing, you see. And I got a call. I was living with my mother in those days, and they called my mother's house and told them that they wanted to, USC told they needed to come over and be interviewed by these firms that want to hire people to work, you know, that finishing in that senior year. So sure enough, I said, well, put me on your list. So she called me, and I went over, and the Big 8 firms, all 8 of them, interviewed me, and I'm still waiting on a call. Okay, then there was another guy, excuse me, only one out of that 8 told me the truth. I'm not going to tell you which one it was, but he told me that when I walked in the interview room, he stood up before I sat down. He said, Mr. Collins, I'm sorry, but we don't hire colored. I guess they called it colored in those days. And it would be a waste of my time and yours too if I interview you, it would be a waste of my time. I said, okay, all I could do is walk out. See? So finally, I got so disgusted. Now here I have, they called me from USC's placement office. And they told me that, Mr. Collins, you're near the top of your class, and you haven't been over here to have these firms interview you. I said, well, put me on the list. And that's when they said, you know, all of them but one told me that we're not, you know, we'll call you. And the one that did say, it called me when I called, he said, no, we don't, we're not hiring colored. So I said, okay. He said, because you have your grades, they said that you were near the top of the class. I didn't have access to that, but the girl in the accounting office told me at USC. So I got so, I made the rounds, I called I sent letters out to the CPA's office, white, black, brown, gray, all of them. And then after I couldn't get a job, I went to the secretary of the State Board of Accounting, and his name is Mr. Leslie McReynolds. I don't know where you're still living or not. Leslie McReynolds. So he told me he was going to be in L.A. and I want to interview. I want to talk with you. But now he did come down, and he was supposed to see me, but he called me at my house and said, "I'm sorry, I got to go back, but what I want you to do is go down on 6th Street." And on 6th Street was the state board, California Society of CPAs. That's where it was in Los Angeles, but they're down in Glendale, I think. And I went down to get on the list, like he told me. And sure enough, I got calls because they didn't know who I was. So one gentleman, Jewish firm out of Beverly Hills, and I won't call his name, called me at my house and said, "Mr. Collins, we'd like to, I got your name from the Board of Accountancy, not the Board of Accountancy, but the California Society of CPAs. And we would like to, you to come over and get an interview." So that was on a Saturday. And I went over, and this gentleman was a CPA, a Jewish firm, and he told me that he looked at my resume. He said, "Now, Mr. Collins, you have a degree from Tuskegee in education. You have a degree from USC, and you'll pass the CPA exam, and you can't get a job. Why?" I said, "Look at me." That gentleman told me, "I don't care what you look like. You are coming to work for us on Monday. And the rest is history." You see? Yeah. Now, I should say, I spent 2 years with this firm, and he wanted me to stay because he figured I can get some of those black people who are in business, you know. So that's why we would like to have you stay. I said, "No, I don't. I want to open my own firm." And here I am, the first black in Los Angeles to get a CPA certificate. And I was the second one in California to get a CPA certificate. And I said, I know there's some people out there that give me some, you know, would trust me. So I quit the job and opened my own firm. And I put it in, I put ad in the Sentinel, it's still around, and the Eagle, and all the black papers. And my practice, after I opened my office, I tell you, the doors really opened. The doors really opened for me. And since I have been, after I've had, now I've been a CPA for 51 years. And yes, I just retired in December of 2010. And I have a lot of these black CPAs that are in LA now came through my office. And I saw to it that I did what I could to open the door. And I tell you, it was a struggle. And I know since the civil rights bills and all that sort of stuff, they couldn't get away with that. Can't get away with that now. You got to find another excuse to do that. But yes, I have had. Now, when I retired last year, I had a staff of 4 people, and one was a CPA, and he has been with me for 25 years, so he is the one that took over the practice. Yeah, so it was a long struggle, but I didn't let that stop me. No, I just kept knocking on doors and doing whatever I could to get that certificate. And once I got the certificate, I left the post office because I was working at nights in the post office. And so that is my, it's a much long, I could tell you, I could sit here all day and all night and tell you some of the things that I had to go through. But through my diligence and struggles, a lot of the black CPAs in this city now came through my office. And that was quite an accomplishment for me. So I don't want to take up all of your time. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this time. Thank you very much.